what's going on, Tim?
How you doing?
Wonderful. Well, good evening to you.
What'd you say?
Good evening to you.
Good evening. Do
And
I?
welcome to the Roosta Show, man. I was just checking you guys out. Some more of your music. Freaking, I love it. It's very powerful, very
Thank you.
intense. Appreciate it. Well, here we go, man. Tell me about.
How, how do I address you? Are you Rooster?
Yeah, I'm Rooster.
Nice to meet you, Rooster.
Nice to meet you. So tell me about the band. Actually, tell me about you. Tell me about your life.
Uh, uh, I'm Tim. I'm the vocalist for Intimidation. I live in North Jersey. Um, I've been into this kind of music since I was a kid, probably since I was about 13 years old. Um, and it's just been a kind of a big part of my life for a long time. Um, I have a wife, no kids right now. Um, I've been doing the band since 2020, and it's been a lot of fun.
Other projects that you've been in?
No, a couple bands in high school
Oh, okay.
where we really recorded anything or took it seriously.
So you're
Um,
mainly vocals. Do you play guitar at all, or
I play guitar,
okay?
um, enough to write songs, um, but I've never. My first band in high school, I played guitar, but I've never played for Intimidation. I can't
Okay.
play and sing at the same time.
Were there any inspiration by other family members that were musicians that got you playing,
No,
or
I
what?
just, I was just always into, even before I got into, punk and oi and stuff. I was always into rock music, guitar music.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Playing guitar always seemed like a cool thing to do, since I was a kid. So,
Who
um,
inspired you to play?
yeah, no one in particular. It was just something I wanted to do. I remember when I was a little kid, the first cassette tape I ever got was Thriller by Michael Jackson. I think
Oh yeah.
that was a lot of people's first, but I would always like, jam out on a stick or a broom to the Beat It solo.
Hell yeah. Good track.
That track was really awesome. I was a little
Yeah, it's
disappointed with
sick.
the rest of the record. Not my thing, but Beat It was dope. Um, so I was into that. I think I was maybe like 10 or 11. Used to do chores on the lawns and shit. So I used my money to buy a cheap guitar. And I think after, banging out Smoke on the Water, at full volume, my parents decided to spring for some lessons. So they had enough of that. But I took
Oh,
lessons
you
for
got some
a couple
lessons.
of years.
Cool.
And actually that's how I first discovered, oi music and skinhead stuff. Um, the town I grew up in, Newton, New Jersey, um, there was a music store where I took guitar lessons. And maybe a block down was CDs R Us. And it was a used music store owned by a guy, Doug Divetter. And Doug uh, played bass in the band Squiggy. Um,
Okay.
I think it's not necessarily known to everyone, but it was certainly a big deal in the Northeast and a big deal in Jersey. But they were an oi band. Um, they did some stuff on Headache Records, and then later Doug formed Squig Tone Records, which is his own label. So he would put out stuff from him. He put out stuff um, from the Oi Scouts, Hudson Falcons, other.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Love the
Um,
White Scouts.
yeah, they were from. So
They're
they're
tight.
from the town where I grew up.
Huh,
I still see
sick.
some of those guys
Wonderful.
around. Um, So it was just, luck that, I think my mom would drop me off for guitar lessons, and, she'd go grocery shopping and run errands and stuff. And, I'd wander over there after my lesson and look through CDs. I'd ask Doug, know, what was cool, and
Yeah.
he sold t-shirts, and he sold used gear and stuff, guitar gear.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I buy shit from there. I bought, I think I bought my first Templars record from Doug, Return of Jacques Desmoulins on CD, and it was all downhill from there.
Yeah. I hear you. Okay, you mentioned something about being oi skinhead. So do you consider yourself skinhead?
Eh, Not, I guess so. Um,
And how do you feel about that? I mean, like, really tell me about how you feel. I mean, I asked the question because it's something that's been frowned upon because of the boneheads, and the people that just give it a bad name, and really, actually, I thought it was something actually genuinely good and decent, and a wonderful idea and a concept, of unity, world unity, and no matter what race you are. So go
sure.
ahead, your turn.
I, I, it's not. I guess so. It's not a term I really always use because I feel like I don't. I may not fit some ideas people of what some people's idea of what a skinhead is. I like punk
Exactly.
music. I like hardcore music.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too. That's where I fit into. Same way. I
I'm
feel the
not.
same way you feel right there.
I'm not.
Definitely.
I'm not walking around wearing the uniform. But I got my first pair of Doc Martens when I was 12 or 13, and I've had my hair cut short ever since. So I guess so. But it's yeah. I've certainly never felt any shame about it. Um, I've never been. I've never been a racist, and the people I hang
No.
out with were never racists. And we did when I was a kid. You know, I don't want to date myself, but
All right. I'm almost
very,
52. How about
very
the old
early
guys?
2000s when I was first getting into it. Um, there were some Nazis around. There were,
Oh yeah.
and it's you don't want to glaze that over. Like it is a part of the skinhead history in the United States. You can't, obviously that's not it,
It's true.
it's a small percentage of people. It was ever a small percentage of people, but it was a thing. I think the media blew it out of proportion, but it was a thing. There were boneheads around. There were guys with swastika tattoos and
Oh yeah.
on shirts and shit. Um, and Rockorama, records, t-shirts, stuff like that. And I remember that when
Yeah.
I was a little kid.
Yep.
Um,
Good old screwdriver, bound for
uh,
glory, and all that good stuff.
uh,
Yeah. Those
not
bad
old enough to
guys.
do anything about it, but I
Yeah.
remember it. Um,
Yeah.
they were some big scary dudes, so it was a real thing. I feel
There was actually a camp here in Idaho that
oh
was
yeah,
a big camp up in Boise area that was a Nazi camp.
yeah. I remember
So
like Pacific Northwest. That was kind of the big spot in the 90s.
northern of it, yeah, it was north of
Yeah,
Boise. Yeah.
but like Jersey, I feel like we never had a lot. Down in Atlantic City, there were a lot of Nazi skinheads that were a big
Yeah.
problem. Um, and then just west of us in Pennsylvania, like the Lehigh Valley, there were a lot of Nazi skinheads.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was really, I really caught, I feel like kind of the tail end of that. Um, for all I know, they could still be around, and I'm sure they are still around.
Oh
But I
yeah,
think
definitely.
they kind of got to the point where they're not promoting it. They're being more subversive about it. They're not like nobody's walking around with swastikas tattooed on their forehead anymore. I mean, I'm sure some people are, but it's like you don't see it at shows.
Yeah.
They're more sneaky about it, which is I guess a little more dangerous in some ways. But you can't
True.
ignore it, but
Good point.
it has never
Yeah.
been, in my opinion, a big part of the scene when I've been involved. Like, I don't want to speak for guys that were around in the 90s and the 80s. I'm sure they would have a different experience than me, but
Yeah, I got you.
and in different places too. But in Jersey, um, it was never a serious problem in the time that I was around, and certainly not now.
Yep. Well, let's get back to your band then. You said it started in 2020, you said?
2020. So
Yeah, 2020. Okay, I was paying attention.
I my buddy Keith Freeman, he's in the hardcore band Restraining Order.
Okay,
Keith's
yes.
actually in a lot of bands. Restraining Order is the big one. He's
Yeah,
in
they're
main.
they're good.
Yeah, they're on tour in Europe right now, which is cool.
Ooh.
But I was hanging out with Keith. They played a show in Asbury Park, and it was one of the last. It was in March 2020. It was one of the last shows. They were on tour with Terror. It was like one of the last big hardcore tours before everything shut down. Um, and Keith worked retail, so his store was shut down when they got back from tour, and he was on like a furlough, and he was just sitting around with nothing to do. And I didn't really have anything to do
Yeah.
either. But so we were talking a lot, and he knew I was into skinhead stuff,
Yeah.
all the Jersey bands, and we were doing like record club every week over the phone. Sharing records we were into and discussing them, just as something to keep from going insane. If you remember at the time, there was not really much to do. Uh,
No.
and Keith had the idea of starting an oi band, skinhead band, and he wanted me to front it, and I was down for the idea. So uh, probably by April of 2020, he had written 5 or 6 songs, the music part, and kind of recorded some demos. And he sent them my way, and I wrote some lyrics for him that fit. And we were kind of just exchanging ideas back and forth. Just kind of like recording shit into computer speakers to kind of get something we liked. Um, and then Keith brought Dylan on board, who was the original guitar player. Dylan, at the time, played in a Long Island hardcore band called The Fight, which has since uh, called it quits. But Dylan's the main touring guitarist in Restraining Order now, and he was on the
Okay.
last. So we got Dylan on board. Uh, Keith wrote the main melodies. I wrote lyrics. Dylan wrote some leads for every song, and then the drummer for Restraining Order, Will Hurst, runs a little recording studio up in Springfield, Mass,
Awesome.
called Four Studios. And it's just at the time it's just kind of like it was just a little one room office space he rented. It was just him. So I think I want to say end of May
Yeah.
in 2020. Everything was still shut down. um you know they recorded the guitar, bass, and drums. We'll play drums on it. Dylan came up one weekend and laid down some leads, and then at the end I came up, and I spent the day up there recording vocals. um everything was like still totally shut down then. I drove up there with a Gatorade bottle to piss in because all the rest stops were, they're trying to keep people off the roads. But so we recorded that, I think June of 2020. uh we got it mixed, mastered. Will did all that too. um Keith did some art for it. I did the
Great
layout.
artwork. Yeah, the artwork's amazing. So yeah, I love it.
Yes, for the demo, that was Keith. I did the layout on
Sweet.
that one, and we released it on Bandcamp. I figured out how to release it on Spotify, and a couple months later, uh, Jesse Flurry, known as Gasface up here in Jersey, he runs Mr. Face Records, which was new at the time.
Awesome.
he contacted us and wanted to put out the demo on cassette.
Gas face, huh?
Ass Face, Mr. Face. So I put that out on cassette.
That's funny.
It sold.
Hey, so yeah, okay. So describe your how you come up. What's your inspiration for your lyrics? What are you trying to say in an album? Well, what are you trying to get at?
So I'm trying. So I feel like a lot of skinhead music, you have some main themes. You have like working, fighting,
Yeah,
uh, the clothes you're wearing. A lot of songs about outfits.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
a lot of songs about violence. I try to. I like writing classic skinhead songs. Um, I think songs like "Credible Threat" is one like that. Uh, but for the most part, I like to write about stuff that I know. So usually every song I write is personal in some way. It's about a time I experienced or like just a feeling I've had or something that's run through my head. Um,
Describe one.
so the
Describe
song,
one of like one track. Go ahead.
so song Four Generations, that's about my
Okay,
family. My great grandfather, my grandfather, my uncle, my brother, two cousins, they're all in the NJ Local 825 operating engineers. So it's, four generations of my family. So I wrote that song for them. It's an example. Also, and I write songs about, shit I'm feeling. Isolation was a song about how it felt during 2020, being stuck at home, not knowing what's going on. Um, from the new record, um, Switchblade Knife. I've
oh, I
never
love it. Yeah, that's all sick.
I've never been in a knife fight, but like I think about all the times, I've had to like, for years, my wife and I shared a car. So a lot of times I would like have to walk home from work through like a sketch neighborhood to get a bus transfer or something, or take a short
Gotcha.
rail yard or something. And so just kind of like the thoughts that run through your head when you're working late at night and you're going home at like 11 p.m. and you like hear something behind you. Um,
Uh,
Desperate times. I think those are about times, I've lost my job. I've been laid off. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And those are the thoughts that run through your head as the weeks tick by and the
yes.
savings account goes down.
Goes
Um,
down.
so I try to, it's fun to write songs about um, fighting and all that kind of shit. But um, we're not none of us are in our none of us in intimidation are in our early 20s anymore. A lot of us are, 30 plus, and we're kind of dealing with adult problems like paying the mortgage and shit. So
That's right.
I feel like a lot of our songs are about that. And that's kind of the message we're trying to send, just stuff that regular guys can
Freaking
relate.
back pain, man. Back pain.
Back pain.
Yeah, so do you have a artist or a musician that you admire, like totally look up to?
There's so many.
Yeah. Like
Big
for me, it was Robert Smith of The Cure. For a
Sure.
long, okay, so yeah, great guitarist and all that. So, how about you?
I would say for me, um, a, a big one was Mark Linsky from Hudson Falcons. Um, I remember seeing them for the first time when I was a kid, and he's not coming in with like the boots and braces and stuff. I rolled up to the show when I was a kid, and this guy looks like my dad. He's just,
Yeah,
but he's an incredibly talented musician. Um, he writes good songs that are strongly rooted in like American like roots music. He always
yeah,
has cool blues licks in all their songs and stuff. And he
wonderful.
writes he writes songs about regular people living in New Jersey. And that's kind of the I don't want to, I'm not comparing myself to them in any way, but that's the lineage of New Jersey music. You know, you have like Bruce Springsteen, you know, singing about
Oh,
the
that's right.
singing
Okay,
about the
yeah,
fucking
he's
regular
from
Joe
there.
in New Jersey. And that's, you know, Hudson Falcons took a lot from that. And I think, you know, when I write songs, I try to follow that same, I try to honor that tradition, that Jersey tradition.
Beautiful.
Same with like
That's
Wretched,
awesome. That's
you know.
beautiful. That's good. 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 Hey, do you prefer creating music or playing live?
That's a good question. I think I honestly, that's a very tough one for me to answer. There's pros and cons to both. Playing live music is a lot of fun, but
Oh yeah.
it's also very chaotic. And I'm kind of like I'm like a control freak guy. I like everything to be right. I like everything to be just so. And you kind of you kind of have to give that up in the live environment. You know, nothing is ever going to sound perfect. No one's ever
Nope.
going to be completely on point.
Yeah.
um, Equipment isn't always going to work. Um, but that being said, I don't think there's anything quite like crowd feedback.
Very
It
good.
depends on the show too, you know. You might play a show and you know you just, especially with oi shows, you might get the fuck you horseshoe, you know, of guys just standing
Mhm.
around with arms crossed nodding. But
Yep.
I think we've been relatively lucky in the time we've been a band that when we play out, we usually get a good crowd that, you know, knows the lyrics and wants to dance and sing along to
That's
the song.
good. Well,
Um,
what would you like to say to them? How about that?
I would
Say
like to
something
say
to your fans.
I would like to say thank you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for singing along. Thank you for buying the records, the t-shirts, everything. It's that feedback that really makes it worth it.
Good. Um, so how do you feel about doing other people's music, covers tracks?
I love covers.
You love covers.
I
Okay.
love doing covers. Keith, who started the band with me, is obsessed with doing covers.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a fan too. You know, like I said, sometimes there's an art to doing covers and there's an art to working them in. Um, we'll usually put them in a set right after some new songs that people don't know, because
Okay.
you kind of get that lull where people are, you know, listening to the song, feeling out, like they're not dancing, they're not sure if they're into it yet. You can follow that up with a song that everyone knows. It kind of kickstarts the action.
Yeah.
So they're a great tool to
Good
have in
technique.
a live band tool belt.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a good one.
we recorded a couple. The first demo we did, Ultraviolence by the Oppressed. Um, we covered 21 Years by Bruisers. We released that as a promo. The latest
Oh, very
record
cool.
has um, Fight to Live by Blitz on it. And, you know, we do a bunch of different ones live. Going Down the Bar by Wretched Ones is a favorite live one. We play Evil by Foreskins a lot. We played a Springsteen cover once. We did Johnny
What?
Nine,
Oh, that's awesome.
that song.
I
Uh
like that. Did you ever hear the takes rock Friday night Saturday night is all right for fighting?
yes,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
that version it's bad. They did a great job on it. And
really
true.
cool.
I never
Uh
really thought about it, but that that's a skinhead song, totally. Yeah.
uh
It's
you know,
pretty
that's a
badass.
really good opportunity. That's a cool thing when skinhead bands can do songs like that. Uh we got band Impact Driver down in
Yeah.
Philly.
I got
Uh
an interview with them coming up too.
so
Good guys.
Impact Driver plays 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, which is it's a fucking oi song, right?
Yeah.
Uh and they do a really great job with it. That's one of my favorites. So shout out to Impact Driver and 9 to 5.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
might be one of my
I
favorite
don't
covers
think I heard it. I gotta
days.
check it out. I
I don't
like
think
them.
I don't think they've ever recorded it. You'd have to find like a YouTube video or something, but
I'll
it's nice.
find it. I got my ways. So
Uh
you working on a new project right now, or a new album?
yes. So we have um we have probably 10 or 11 songs demoed out. Um, so that would mean, I have lyrics written. We have like our basic verse, choruses, bridges written.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
Yeah.
and then probably over the next month, we're gonna kind of flesh those out and kind of write different guitar parts and kind of make those a little more interesting and complicated. Then first weekend in March, we're going up to Massachusetts again. Gate Force Studio. Our buddy Will, he he uh he was moving up in the world, so he's no longer in a little one-room closet. He's got some real recording space with good equipment and isolation booths and stuff. So we're really excited to kind of go up there and do that with him. Uh, Will has recorded every Intimidation record so far, so we're sticking with him.
Great, great. Have you collaborated with any other artists for your albums?
Nope, never done any
Nope.
collabs. Never
No
done any.
collabs yet, huh?
I'm not opposed to it,
Okay. Oh
but
yeah, definitely not.
it can
Definitely
be
not.
hard. It can be hard enough to organize your own people. So,
It's true.
and
That is true.
part of it is too is you record music. You get really excited about it and you want to release it. Uh, but if you're kind of waiting on other people, uh, it can get it can be a little bit of a bummer. I imagine we've never tried it, but I think it would suck to have to sit on new recorded music that we're excited about. If we're doing our own thing, we can do it on our own timeline.
So tell me about from the time you guys started in 2020 to now. Do you feel that you have become a better band?
Oh yeah. Um, in 2020, um, there weren't any shows going on, so it was almost kind of it was hard to argue that we were a band at all. We're some guys that
It was a
recorded,
concept.
right. Um,
Gotcha.
it was basically just me and Keith and some people we got to help us out to record the demo. Um, I think, you know, 2020 was a wash, that nobody did any shows. 2021, things started to come back. We played one or two shows. Oh, hey, Kitty. We played one or two shows that were okay. Um, but by I think October of 2021, we played our first show with our lineup that we've had ever since. We opened up for Patriot in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And that was like our first. Uh, right now, like our New Jersey lineup is Sean Pryor, our drummer, Nishad Dada plays guitar, and Mario DaCosta plays bass for us, and with me on
Okay.
vocals. And then Keith is usually on tour with Restraining Order, but when he can, he comes down to play with us.
Yeah.
And he'll play bass, and Mario will move over to second guitar. So that's been our lineup since that October of 2021 show. I have the flyer here. Yeah. That was the first show for our Jersey lineup. Uh, that was really
How
fun.
did how was your how was your stage name created?
Our what?
Intimidators.
Oh,
Your stage name, Intimidators.
right.
How was it created? Who came up with that?
Uh,
How
I
did it
think
become that?
I think Keith and I did. We were just looking for a band name, and Keith's a big hardcore guy, and I love hardcore too. And it's
Oh yeah.
kind of like a hardcore tradition to like name your band after a song from a band you admire. So Uh,
Chain of Strength,
right. Exactly.
Youth of
Yeah.
Today. I love them too, man. Of course,
So,
Minor Threat.
we named our band after Intimidation by the Bruisers. And,
Oh,
after careful research, because you got to be careful not to pick a band name that somebody else has. Uh, there's Intimidation One, which was a white power band, but we're better
oh,
than we're just Intimidation, not Intimidation One. Uh,
good to know. Good to
yeah,
know.
don't get
I
confused.
don't want to start liking that page, thinking it's you guys.
No,
Oh,
occasionally,
that'd be messed up.
occasionally
Oh,
there's confused comments on YouTube wondering why there are black people in the band now.
yeah, I know. I noticed that. He's a big guy too, man. He's pretty big.
Keith is, I think Keith is 6'5". I think.
6'5". I'm 5. I'm 5'3", 5'4". I
Yeah,
lie on my ID and I say 5'4".
right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to give an inch. That's fair. But, I'm 6'2". I look up at Keith, so he's a big dude.
Yeah, yeah, he's a big dude, man. He's cool, man. That's awesome. Well, bless his heart, man, and
But
hopefully he feels at home. And it's actually refreshing when I'm part like on my Instagram. I have classic skinhead type
yeah.
pages, and it shows old school pictures, black and whites of white skinhead and a black skinhead just
Right,
standing
right.
there together, and
Always been part of
and
it.
it's actually always been really cool. I mean, I've always thought the idea was actually more of a beautiful thing than it is, because I mean I do love Rasta, but I never got into actual ska. I feel bad
I know.
because I heard somebody say one time, a ska person that was like a leader of, like a lead singer of a ska band, said, In order to be a skinhead, you have to love ska." And it's like, no bull. I mean, I like it. I like your style actually. I like that really harsh, freaking intimidating, freaking violent,
Like that's like
in
an
your face.
American thing.
I mean, if it's gonna be punk rock, it's gotta be has some balls to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And God doesn't have balls to me. To me, it doesn't. There's some good bands that like Stomper 98 that does a little bit once in a while, and they know how to throw that trumpet in there, and the
Yeah.
horns. They do it just brilliantly the way they do it, because I don't like it too overpowering. They do it where it's like subtle and it's just there. It's like with rhythm guitar almost. It's just so subtle. It's just right there blended in with it so beautifully. And so I love the way they do it. It's
Yeah.
just, I, I,
I appreciate that it's a big part of the history of this thing that we're
it
doing,
is.
but so I appreciate it from that point. And I do like some of the original stuff, like Desmond Decker, that kind
Mhm.
of thing. Like American third wave
I
ska.
respect it.
I've never
I
really had it.
respect it.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
feel
necessarily me, but I respect it.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
not for me.
anyway, so my point though is it was refreshing seeing that you have a black member in your band, and
Yeah, we've
so
got,
that's awesome.
we've got a couple. I think there when we play as a full lineup, there are there are fewer white guys in the band than people of color.
Yeah. I
Um,
I don't look at it any differently. I think it's beautiful.
I
I
don't
don't. They're
I don't
just.
think we've ever been treated
It's cool.
to the credit of the scene and everybody.
No,
Uh,
of course not.
it's not something we think about or notice. Like we're just friends playing music.
Heck yeah.
Um, and I don't think anyone has no one has ever made a big deal about it either way. So
No, you shouldn't. Anyways,
yeah,
unity, right?
yeah,
That's what it's about. Unity. I mean,
just friends playing music. If
I
it's
mean, I've
if it's
noticed there's some really cool people in Mexico that were skinheads, and in Philippines that are skinheads, and all over the place, man. They're all over. It doesn't matter about race. It doesn't matter about what color you are. and all that. It's just, still believing for each other, and living for each other and being strong and unity. And
It's
so,
for everybody.
yep, it's very true. So, man, gosh, it's been a great talk so far. Kind of running out of things to say, but
That's
I
all
do
right.
appreciate your time here, and I'm gonna be tracking you down, man. I'm gonna be playing you on my spot. I already have you on my Spotify playlist for Put Punk Away. It's one of the bigger ones on Spotify. It's huge. It's like 3,500 tracks or something. Like tons of stuff on there. So, but you
Everything you
guys are
like.
in the mix,
Thank you.
and
I appreciate
always, yeah, definitely, man. Bless you, and I just play you my playlist the best I can. My mixes. I'm about ready to put up a new Oi mix. Been working on it, and you guys are in it. So
it. Thank you.
love you and appreciate you. And where can people find your music at, real quick, before we take off?
Sure. So everything we release always gets put up on Spotify, YouTube Music. Pretty much, we work with a distributor. So whenever we put something out, it goes up on all streaming. I
Okay.
don't care if you pay. I don't care if you pay for it or not. Enjoy it. Wherever you want to listen to
Yeah.
it's fine. If you want to pay us for it, you can go to our Bandcamp, intimidationoi.bandcamp.com, and you can pay for it if you want and download it. Again, if you want to listen to it free for somewhere, I don't care. Just enjoy it. But people do, God bless them, people do like to pay us for the music. So
Yeah,
uh,
definitely. God
you can
bless you.
pay to download it on Bandcamp. Um, and then if you want to buy copies of our newest 12-inch.
Oh, hell yeah. That's what I was just listening to. Was that album? Yeah,
If you want to buy copies
sweet.
of that, Mr. Face Records still has some copies in black. Try and Stop Me Records if you're a fan from Europe. Um, Alex is in Germany. He released the record over there. Um, so if you're in Europe, you can buy from Alex. Try and Stop Me. If you're in the States, hit up Jesse and Mr. Face Records. Um, and then we always have copies at our shows. So our next show is going to be March 15th in Brooklyn. It's on the streets again too. Um, it's a little 2-day fest. We've got CMI headlining day one, and Doug and the Slugs headlining day two, with a
Okay.
with a lot of great bands in between. We're playing day one with CMI. It's a Friday night. Um, I think I know I got this wrong, but it's one pre it's I think it's 25 per night to get in. Um, and I don't know the price for both days, but it's a huge discount. So it's a lot cheaper than paying for both days if you want to
Gotcha.
buy the package. That's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll be there. That's our next show. We're going to have records. We're going to have t-shirts, pins, stickers, all that good stuff. And then we're going to be recording the beginning of March. It always takes a couple months. I'd probably expect something new from us, late summer, uh, or in the
Okay.
fall. Uh,
We could do a little promo for it if you want when that time comes.
yeah,
Do a nice
sure.
little recording if you want. And even if it's a 5 minute, little commercial, we can work something out and let you
I'll
promote it
send
real
you,
quick.
once we have something worked out, I'll send you a sneak peek track so you can play on the show.
Sounds awesome. I appreciate you.
Sure.
God bless you. God bless your members. And I appreciate what you do. And thank you so much taking your time to talk to me. And God bless you, really, seriously.
Of
I
course,
mean it.
Rooster. Have a
All
good
right,
night.
man. Got your back. And more rock, less talk here on the Rooster Show. We have Tim from Intimidation, and I appreciate you, bud. You take care. God bless.
Take it
Bye
easy.
bye. You too.